It's an entrance exam for the world's most prestigious academy. To pass, the professor teleports all the students to another world, where they must earn as many points as possible by battling monsters in each other. Among all the students, one boy stands out, Leo. He's so powerful that one of the academy's top talents decides to eliminate him before he steals first place. But her plan backfires miserably. Leo easily humiliates him, revealing himself to everyone. Who is the real number one? Now the question arises, why is this boy so different from the rest? The reason is simple. He's no ordinary student, but a legendary hero from 5,000 years ago. Nearly 5,000 years ago, humanity was brought to its knees by a being called Arbos, known as the genesis of evil. 4 legendary heroes united to end this darkness. Ultimately, all were killed in the battle, leaving only one man remaining, Kyle, the last hero on the human side. Thanks to the sacrifices of his comrades, Kyle defeated the incarnation of evil, defeated and saved humanity. But this story is 5,000 years old. In the present era, history tells a different story. Kyle's name has been completely erased. Everyone is taught that Arbos was defeated by Lysinus' sacrifice. Until now, no one has questioned this story. The real twist comes when the reborn Kyle hears the story of Arbos' defeat in this era and finds that his name is missing. With his identity erased, Kyle enrolls in Lumina Academy, the very hero academy where the hero records exist, to reclaim his place in the world. Many years have passed since Kyle's reincarnation, and the scene is now set at the Royal School of Dawn. Inside the classroom, the teacher is informing the students about the current era, known as the Age of Heroes. It has been 5,000 years since the hero records appeared, and the lower world has changed drastically during this time. This year, the Royal School of Dawn is hosting the Lumina entrance examination. The teacher is very excited and confident that future heroes are hidden within these students. But one student sitting in the last row is completely uninterested and enjoying sleep. He is taking it. This student is Leo. The teacher is irritated by his attitude and thinks that if he is not paying attention, then he must already know everything. The teacher challenges him and asks what ritual was performed 5,000 years ago to become a hero. Leo stands up and answers in a completely casual tone. If someone becomes famous, then people automatically start worshiping him. Leo's full name is Leo Pla. He is 15 years old, and he is from the prestigious House of Pla. The teacher is clearly disappointed by this half-hearted answer. He asks the class if anyone wants to give a more detailed answer. Just then, a bright student raises his hand. He explains that in ancient times, there was no direct way to gain recognition from the gods. Holy rituals were used to select heroes, the most famous of which was the ritual of blood. The teacher is deeply impressed by this answer and decides that this student will become the greatest magical genius of the kingdom, Gallivan of House Trin. Meanwhile, for Leo, all this is just routine. Meeting the gods was never a big deal for him. It was a part of life. After all, the gods had given the lower world a miracle in memory of the heroes who fought Arbos, a hero record. But Leo can't understand why he was the only one erased from history. No one is willing to acknowledge his contribution, and this is eating him up inside. After a while, the students gather near the windows, eager to catch a glimpse of the Zeringer clan. As they pass through the corridor, a woman walks ahead of the group. Her name is Celia Zeringer. As soon as this name is mentioned, everyone's curiosity and the excitement reaches its peak. Suddenly, an announcement rings out. All students are summoned to the auditorium for a mandatory assembly. The reason is clear. The Zeringer clan is visiting the school. As he leaves the classroom, Gullivan calls out to Leo and asks if he'll try to catch the Zeringer's eye. Leo shrugs, unperturbed. He's not the least bit interested in this spectacle. He just wants to go home. Leo's nonchalance further infuriates Gullivan. He can't believe someone could so casually pass up such an opportunity. He's trying to keep his cool. To show off, Gullivan pretends he's not particularly interested in the Zeringers either, but then he quickly adds that he'll definitely go see Celia. After all, she's his rival, and it's clear this is just a pretense. In reality, he's incredibly excited about gaining recognition from the Ziringer clan. Leo leaves, unconcerned by all this, as if it doesn't matter to him at all. Sometime later, Leo appears at the dojo. His body is exhausted. His breathing is heavy from swinging his practice stick countless times. Finally, he picks up his soda and walks out. He begins to leave, but as he steps out the door, a woman lunges at him with the force of a runaway train. Leo is startled but manages to block the blow with his blade just in time. The clash between the two makes it clear that this isn't their first encounter. They have a long history, and such clashes are commonplace. The woman smiles and says that it's been a while since she's finally had the chance to spar. She then announces that this match will be Leo's final test before he heads to Lumina Academy. Then, the reveal unfolds. This formidable woman is none other than Leo's help. The next moment, she's at him again. Swords clash. Sparks fly. Leo can barely keep up. His mother casually remarks that he hasn't even used a fraction of his full strength. Blow after blow grows more intense each time. But gradually, Leo gains control. His swordsmanship, his brilliance, all come to the fore. Finally, Leo turns the tables. With his sheer skill, he forces his mother to retreat. She surrenders and stares at him in astonishment. Her voice softens. "Leo," she asks, "why are you so determined to go to Lumina Academy?" Before we continue the story, a little context about the academy is necessary. Lumina Academy, the Human Hero Academy, is one of the 4 great institutions where hero records are kept. Different races have their own academies, but Leo is convinced that only Lumina Academy can hold clues to his past life as a hero. That's why he's determined to go there at any cost. He wants to enroll there. For him, it's not just an academy, but a way to reclaim his lost identity. Leo's mother tells him that the Ziringer clan is currently in Dawn and will be staying at the Plow Mansion. He doesn't particularly like the idea, but she wants to talk to Jay Ziringer, the vice patriarch of the Ziringer clan. She believes that if Jays teaches Leo the Ziringer aura technique, he will definitely be selected for Lumina Academy next year. But she doesn't know that Leo doesn't want to wait for next year at all. A little while later, the scene shifts to the Plow Mansion. Celia Geringer steps off the carriage and looks around. She wonders why her uncle chose to stay in such a place instead of a hotel. After all, she is Celia Geringer, the 15-year-old sword princess, the pride of the Geringer clan. She is focused on the Lumen entrance exam and doubts what a small family like the Plow can teach her. Just then, her uncle's voice rings out. It's Gaius Geringer, vice patriarch of the Geringer clan. He asks in a teasing tone if she's meeting Leo. Not even a little curious about meeting him? The same guy who openly stated he had no interest in the Ginger clan. Celia calmly says that if Leo can't even use aura yet, he doesn't seem particularly impressive to her. But Jays has a different opinion. There's a slight smile on his face, as if he sees something in Leo that others can't. Upon entering the mansion, Jay steps forward and formally greets the head of Plowhold. He speaks respectfully to Patriarch Dade Plow and his wife, Rhina Plow. Both hosts also. The Jarringers are welcomed with equal respect. After this, Jays introduces Celia to Rhea and Dade. Celia immediately responds with courtesy and thanks them for hosting her in their home. Rhea observes Celia carefully for a few moments. She realizes that Celia resembles her father and uncle not only in appearance, but also in temperament. Celia's eyes are drawn to Rhea's dark hair and red eyes. It doesn't take her long to understand that Rhea belongs to the Geringer family. That means she is her aunt. After a while, Jays and Rhea, who are brother and sister, sit down and talk about old times. During the conversation, Jays mentions his visit to the Royal School of Dawn. They had come to see Leo, but it turns out he wasn't interested in meeting anyone and had already left. Rhea apologizes on her son's behalf, saying his behavior may have seemed disrespectful. Jays eagerly asks Rhea what kind of person Leo is. Rhea never tires of praising him and says that Leo is exceptionally talented. Hearing this, Jace questions, is Leo truly worthy of inheriting the Zeringer flames? Rhea clarifies that she's not just speaking as a proud mother. Leo truly has the potential to carry on the legacy. Hearing this, Jamie is intrigued. He trusts his sister's judgment, but decides to test Leo himself before making a final decision. Meanwhile, Leo sits alone, trying to concentrate. After completing a small ritual, he tells himself that he has finally created the vessel he needs. He can handle everything. Leo wonders why he hasn't learned aura yet. The reason is the unique nature of his body. If he had accepted aura too early, it would have become specialized automatically, limiting his ability to store human soul energy. In a past life, he had witnessed the terrible consequences of uncontrolled power. If he had used the entire essence of his comrades without control, the seeds of disaster would have been left. To avoid repeating history, Leo wants perfect control in this life. Therefore, the first step on his journey is Aurora Mastery, but on his own terms. A familiar voice pulls him from his thoughts. Turning around, he finds Celia Geringer standing there. She smirks that he's finally mastered the basics of training. There's a slight sarcasm in her words, but she offers to teach him swordsmanship and guidance if he accepts the challenge. The funny thing is, Leo has no idea who she is. Celia introduces herself. Celia Geringer, world-class sword princess. After the introductions, Leo gets straight to the point. He says he feels honored, but he doesn't intend to train with him. This irritates Celia, as Leo seems to believe he's stronger than her. Leo explains that he might lose in a death match because he can't use aura. But a spar of swordsmanship would be a different story, and he could handle her easily. This completely challenges Celia. She looks around and takes one of the many swords she has on display. She picks it up. She wants to prove that Leo's confidence is just an illusion. She has only one thing on her mind. Even after learning aura, Leo cannot defeat her. She wants to teach him a harsh lesson of reality. Celia goes ahead and claims that if she wins the duel during his week-long stay, Leo will become her servant. Leo is not at all disturbed by the word servant uttered from Celia's mouth. Instead, he asks in a calm tone, "If I win," to which Celia immediately replies, "If Leo wins, she will become his servant." As soon as the bet is finalized, he picks up a practice sword and begins sparring without hesitation. His speed is much faster than expected, but Celia easily outmaneuvers him. Still, Celia can't help but notice that Leo's speed is unusually dangerous. Despite this, she's confident that he can't win with just that much speed. The two charge head-on again. This time, Leo's attack is incredibly powerful. His sheer strength overwhelms Celia, and she quickly retreats. Just then, Leo's sword clattered to the ground, and the instant breaks. But Leo doesn't stop. Despite the broken sword, he attacks her again. She's been arrogant all along. Regret begins to fill Celia's heart. She's convinced she won't be able to block the incoming blow. Forced to do so, she braces herself and prepares to take the blow head-on. But to everyone's surprise, she takes no damage because she activated her aura armor at the last moment. This was against the rules of the spar, as this duel was based solely on swordsmanship. Instead of admitting her mistake, Celia pretends it was just a reflex. Leo coldly tells her he's already won and it doesn't matter anymore. Celia refuses to accept this. It's exactly what Leo expected. Suddenly, Leo throws off the magic weight bracelets from his hands. The weights, which suppress his physical strength, literally shatter Celia's barrier with the next blow. The girl is left completely stunned. Leo shows no mercy now and gives her a taste of his full strength. He gives a taste. Within moments, the outcome of the duel becomes clear. Later, while strolling through the courtyard, Leo meets his mother, who introduces him to his uncle, Jace. Leo immediately bows in respect, and Jace does the same. They shake hands. His mother asks if he has met Celia. Leo casually recalls that she fainted from fear after the fight. Before Leo can explain further, a knight reports to Jace. Jace is astonished to hear that Leo defeated Celia without learning aura. He lavishly praises Leo. Leo simply shrugs and says he underestimated him. Zays then asks what Celia lost in the bet. Leo smiles and replies, "The loser was supposed to be the winner's servant. The meaning is clear. For the next week, Celia is his maid." Zays doesn't like the idea, but he understands the importance of keeping his word. Nevertheless, he makes it clear that Celia is from the Geringer house, so she can't be made to work as a maid. He requests Leo to take back his promise. In return, he'll send her somewhere. He'll offer a more valuable reward. But Leo refuses without thinking. Leo says that this wager was between him and Celia, and as long as she keeps the Zering name, he must take responsibility. Jace then asks if he'll also give up the chance to learn the Zeringer aura breathing method. Leo replies sharply. According to him, a technique designed to protect a niece from humiliation isn't worth learning. Jace's tone hardens upon hearing this, but Leo isn't intimidated. He says that Jace is technically correct. Suddenly, Uncle's mood softens, and he calmly asks, "Doesn't Leo realize his behavior is impudent and impolite?" Leo clarifies that he had no intention of insulting Zeringas. If he had been rewarded with the aura breathing method for defeating Celia, he would have gladly accepted it. But he would never accept a bribe offered to save someone from consequences. The point is, if his uncle refuses to accept Celia's defeat, it means he believes Celia is better than him and simply lost the duel by mistake. But Leo clarifies that if Celia completely, even if she sparred with him seriously, he would still win. Hearing this, Leo's mother's chest swells with pride. His brother is also quite impressed by Leo's firm judgment. A child who would refuse a reward just because he didn't like someone's behavior shows how exceptional Leo is. Jairus wishes he were a child like Geringer. He then signals to his knights and orders that Celia be sent to the maid's quarters. Then he turns to Leo and tells him to leave without any honorary treatment. He allows him to call him uncle simply by title. Leo leaves after a while. Jace proudly tells his elder sister that when he returns home, he will definitely convince his elder brother to teach Leo the mighty phoenix breath technique. The scene shifts to Leo's room. The first thing we see is Celia's completely embarrassed face. Celia, almost mad with embarrassment, introduces herself as Celia the maid, who will be taking care of Leo for the next week. Leo finds a strange pleasure in this. Who could have imagined that her fancy style would suit so well even in simple, tailored clothes? She truly looks on fire. Celia is irritated by his compliments. After all, she knows how beautiful she is. Leo apologizes and says he didn't mean to offend. He explains that he had a friend who praised beauty too much. Perhaps that habit has rubbed off on him. He remembers that friend used to say that the beauty of eternity is incomparable and that if peace ever returned to the world, he would spend his life spreading beauty. That friend was Dwarven Master Dueno. Suddenly, Celia's eyes fall on the book Leo is reading. Curious, she asks. Leo explains that he read this book a lot as a child. The Great Hero of the Beginning. Celia remembers reading it when she was 5 years old. Seeing that Leo likes it, she takes another book off the shelf and says that there are many books on the Kayla. Leo replies that it's difficult to attribute many of history's greatest achievements to a single hero. Sometimes the feats of a hero are. The achievements attributed to him are actually the collective efforts of many heroes. He's hinting that Kyle's achievements have also been attributed to others. But Celia flatly denies this, saying that Kyle was probably a scammer who wanted to take credit. At least that's what most people believe, and he's one of them. Leo doesn't like this at all. The world considers Kyle a fake hero who has no contribution to make. He stops the topic at that very moment and says, "Breakfast is essential before training." Celia immediately switches to med mode and politely asks if she can train with her young master. She's polite on the outside, but deep inside, she's filled with toxic thoughts about Leo. Leo heads for the training hall without delay. A short while later, Celia is seen on her knees, panting heavily. After the first round, Leo gives her feedback. When her stamina reaches its limit during a fight, her reaction speed drops, and gaps appear between movements. And that's what's happening right now. That's why she leaves herself open. Celia doubts whether exhausting her body like this is really the right thing to train. Leo responds positively. He thinks young people these days have simply become too weak. Aura techniques have become much more advanced than in the past, and perhaps that's why people have stopped giving as much importance to body training. Aura increases a person's body strength, and if the body is trained, the aura also becomes stronger along with it. Celia refuses to consider herself weak under any circumstances. She doesn't want to be called that. She gathers her strength, clenching her teeth, and stands up for another round. Before attacking, she warns Leo to stop underestimating her. But her reckless charge backfires. Leo simply throws her away in one swing, and she falls to the ground. Celia is completely frustrated by the constant humiliating defeats. Then Leo offers her a bracelet. Celia reaches out without thinking. Little does she know the bracelet is imbued with weight magic, so heavy that her body falters as she puts it on. At that very moment, a dangerous smile appears on Leo's face. He makes it clear that from now on, she will train wearing this bracelet. The next day, Jace is also watching them train. Seeing Celia's condition, he realizes that this experience is essential for her. Her pride must be broken at least once before she goes to Lumen. Jace then calls Leo and gives him the good news. He plans to talk to Patriarch and get her permission to inherit the Phoenix breath. Phoenix. Leo is shocked at the mention of breath. He remembers that this is the Geringer family's original aura technique, which can only be learned by those recognized by the family. Celia also says that her father won't allow it so easily. But Jace has already thought of this. He sets Leo a condition. If he passes the Lumina entrance examination, he will be taught Phoenix breath. Celia doesn't like this at all. In her eyes, Leo is a brat who can't even use aura and doesn't know how to pass the Lumina entrance examination. There are real fights. It could even be fatal for him. Leo casually says that he doesn't have real fight experience. However, we know that this is only true as long as his past life isn't taken into account. Jairus waits for Leo's opinion. Leo accepts without delay, provided his parents have no objections. A week passes, and finally the day of the Lumina entrance examination arrives. Celia Zieringer's presence on the examination ground attracts everyone's attention. People are stunned to see her. Celia taunts him slightly. She asks Leo if she's nervous. It seems she's stuck in the role after spending so much time as a maid, as she still calls Leo master. Just then, Jovan's voice is heard. He's come to see Celia, but is shocked to see Leo with her. Jovan throws shade at Leo, assuming he doesn't belong there because he doesn't even know how to use his aura. He also tries to politely greet Celia, but they both completely ignore him as if he doesn't exist. That awkward, he reminds her of his name. Gallivan Tretton. But Celia can't remember his name either, and she grabs Leo's hand and starts walking away. Then someone stops them. Two siblings appear. The tall boy is Abed Lalon, age 16, from the Levin family, and the little girl with him is Chelsea Lalon, age 14. Celia recognizes them, but Leo has no clue. Celia tells him that they are the Llewellyn siblings, children of the Llewellyn family, from the heroic lineage of the Lordan Empire. Celia is clearly irritated. She tells Leo that both of them will also be taking part in the exams, and the Zieringer clan cannot lose to the Lalonde family under any circumstances. But Leo doesn't care. After all, he is from the Pla family, not the Zieringer clan. Nevertheless, Celia responds to their greetings and introduces Leo as a noble of House Pla. Abed, not hearing any fancy title with Leo's name, considers it insignificant. Both siblings turn around and, as they leave, warn them that the top spot will be theirs. Celia doesn't like their attitude at all, and she refuses to participate in the upcoming trials. She decides to crush him badly. Celia becomes irritated and tells Leo that Eli is listed on the Zirin hero records. Leo, one of the heroes of the current era, carefully observes the professor and notices the concentrated intense mana in his left eye. Professor Eli begins to explain the exam format. The exam has two main parts: one-on-one combat and monster subjugation. Normally, students complete these in turn, but Eli finds it inefficient. He burns the paper in his hand and he takes out a thick ancient book. Opening the book, the first chapter appears. Prologue: The Wild Forest. Suddenly, a massive enchantment circle glows beneath the feet of all the students. Ollie announces that he is combining all the trials into one. In reality, the hero record isn't just history. It can manifest a hero world, which contains the experiences of past heroes. Through this world, anyone can inherit a hero's power. All the students are transported to the hero world, the Wild Forest. Professor, it clearly states that the only objective is to survive, team up, or eliminate each other. Everything is allowed. If you want to quit, break even further and go back. After observing for a while, Leo recognizes the place. This is the same forest that was once Elven Forest. Before Sultana the Witch Queen took over, some students believe it to be an illusion and want to go back. But Leo knows that whatever happens here will be real and deadly. Just then, Leo senses a presence. An arrow comes and shatters the ground. He survives. He looks up. There stands Chelsea Llewellyn. She mistakes him for Zeringer and is determined to eliminate him. Leo quickly reveals that he's from the Plow family. But Chelsea becomes even more aggressive. Thinking he's lying, she casts magic wind without stopping. Leo is impressed by the spell. It didn't exist in his past life, but the basics are the same. Chelsea becomes even more frustrated by how he can remain so composed and composed around her. To shake him up, Chelsea uses one of her impressive spells. The ability unleashes. But Leo effortlessly blocks it with a single swing. The mana blade he sent falls flat. Seeing this, Chelsea is completely unsettled. It's beyond her understanding. She didn't even use aura. Yet, how did she block the attack so easily? Leo, rubbing salt into her wounded ego, casually says that her attack was too simple. Leo then offers her an alliance. He reminds her that whoever survives the longest will earn the most points. A sorcerer. Being a warrior, she should at least try to pass one test. Chelsea's answer isn't hard to predict. She quickly retorts that she's no ordinary sorcerer. She's a battle mage. Leo's callous description of her attack as simple stings her deeply. To save her honor, she unleashes all her strength, intending to crush him right there. But all her attacks are in vain, because Leo isn't even standing in the direction her blades are pointing. Worse, she can't feel even the slightest trace of mana anywhere. It doesn't. That's why she can't even detect Leo's position. Suddenly, her eyes fall on Leo. He's standing right in front of her. There's a fist. Whether the punch lands on his face or not isn't shown. But one thing is clear. Chase's knees give way. This is a clear sign of our boy's victory. Leo again tells Kamali that the alliance offer is still there if she wants to change her mind. Before she can respond, the scene shifts. The Lumina Academy faculty is watching all this through a digital window. They're excited. The exam has finally gotten interesting. The scene returns to Chelsea, who shows no mercy. Leo has Chelsea tied to a tree trunk. His facial expression clearly indicates his ill intentions. He lights a small bonfire as night falls. The fire grows stronger, and the flames begin to move toward the bound girl. Seeing the fire, Chelsea panics. She believes she can escape if she cooperates with Leo. But this girl is the epitome of stubbornness. She flatly refuses, saying she has to go to her own house. She doesn't need anyone else's alliance except her brother. She tries to use wind magic, but it's useless because Leo has already activated a skill that restricts magic. Deep inside, Leo thinks he doesn't have enough mana to maintain this skill for long. Chelsea finally thinks she'll be able to free herself without magic. But that's exactly what Leo wanted. He remains on high alert so she can't make any moves. Without hesitation, he increases the intensity of the fire. The flames catch up to her clothes. It seems like the limit. Chess breaks down and agrees to the alliance. But Leo isn't satisfied with just words. He asks her to swear on her family name. Forced to do so, Chess swears on the Llewellyn family name and promises cooperation. Just then, Leo unties the ropes. Chess is about to fall when Leo catches her in his arms. The scene then shifts to the teachers. Alizaron is carefully observing the students. So far, he hasn't seen any student meet his standards. According to him, the students, fighting amongst ourselves is foolish. The only people who truly show strength are Celia Geringer and Abed Lalonde, who are working together. This brings her some solace. Then she notices Leo and Chelsea. This case is now with Sen Stoa. Ellie's eyes are particularly drawn to Leo. The fire stunt with Chelsea was amateurish, but getting Chelsea to cooperate with Llewellyn earns him a passing grade, at least in Ellie's eyes, because Ollie believes Leo doesn't have the power or grace of Celia and Abed. But here she is completely wrong. After all, Leo defeats Celia without breaking a sweat. Regardless, Ollie considers him the dark horse of the competition. Leo and Chelsea advance, slaying a few monsters. Chelsea begins to believe that allying with Leo wasn't such a bad decision after all. She asks Leo what aura he's using, as she can't detect any mana. Leo casually detonates a bomb. He doesn't know how to use an aura. Chelsea is completely shocked. During their conversation, a monster is hiding behind the bushes, watching them. Chelsea, she immediately notices and attacks him. This attack was far too powerful for the frail monster. Leo also admits that he possesses impressive strength, but the method of using it is wrong. Suddenly, Leo senses something strange and tells Chase to stop. There's something strange in the sand. He bends down to look. The ground is dry and rotting corpses lie there. Just then, an explosion occurs. Leo immediately picks up Chase and jumps. The people who set the trap appear. It's Gulvin and his companions. He has an old grudge against Leo, so he's the target. Gulvin orders a companion to charge. The poor fellow rushes in without thinking, and a punch from Leo breaks his jaw. Leo stands up with full gigantic energy and tells Chelsea to just cover his back. Chelsea is a stuntman. This is the second time in a row she has saved him. She quickly gets up and takes position behind him. Meanwhile, Gulvin runs for his life. He abandons his own companions. He has only one thought on his mind: find a partner quickly. Luckily, Celia spots him from a distance. He gives chase. Instead, she heads in the direction he was running from. When everyone arrives, the sight is shocking. Monster corpses and student corpses are everywhere. Chelsea is overjoyed to see her brother. Celia taunts Leo. What is he doing with Chelsea? Leo proudly declares that it was his decision to form the alliance. Celia doesn't believe it. She finds it easier to believe that she saw a cockroach flip a bag than that Leo convinced a stubborn girl like Chelsea. Leo just wicked grins and says he's convinced him. This grin unsettles even Celia. She wonders what he might have done. Leo then starts picking up the students he knocked down. Abad asks why he's helping the enemies. Leo clarifies. There's no need to fight amongst ourselves. It's better to face the world's challenges together. When the others look confused, Leo points to the bodies lying around. A student says the moisture in the bodies has drained. Leo, he adds that this isn't the only strange thing. The monsters are also missing, as if they were scared of some high-tier monster. Abad understands. Hero Ali's first feat was also to defeat a high-tier monster. Just then, a powerful cry echoes through the forest. Tension fills the air. The monster has finally decided to reveal itself. Meanwhile, in another part of the forest, Gulvin is wandering alone. Holding a torch in his hand, Gulvin is terrified. Despite the dire situation, his weak thoughts are not focused on survival, but on taking revenge on Leo. Just then, he spots a corpse lying near his feet. The next moment, something moves behind the veil of darkness, causing him to stumble and fall. What he sees is a giant monster, a giant spider, and it's hungry. Now, there's no doubt about it. Gallivan's death is certain. The scene shifts to Professor Olby and Lumina Academy. A shocking revelation comes to light. 50 students have failed the exam. The problem is that the selection process requires at least 100 students. But now, only 50 are left for the test. Yet, Ali Zirin doesn't want to be forced into selection. The headmaster chose him to select only the cream of the crop. Ali believes that true heroes emerge in difficult times. That's why he sets his sights on Leo Pla, a dark horse with untapped talent. The question is, will this dark horse be able to pass this brutal exam? The atmosphere on the exam ground is extremely dark. The students are having trouble even moving. Just then, Celio illuminates her sword and says she saw something ahead. A terrifying sight emerges in the red glow of his blade. A giant spider, chewing on its prey. Fear spreads. Abbott immediately rushes to attack with the mage spell, but Leo stops him and tells Galvan to break the crystal. But Galvan has already become breakfast in the spider's jaws. He somehow breaks the blue crystal, sending a wave of electricity rushing into the monster's mouth. Now, he charges the Windfang spell and fires it at the monster. The attack injures it, but doesn't kill it. The 4 students realize the magnitude of the threat they face. This creature is Spider Princess Tantula, and she's not cute at all. One student foolishly launches a melee attack, only to be knocked to the ground with a single blow. Then Celia steps in, believing she can end the fight with a single attack. She activates the Prominence spell. The red destructive beam rips through the monster's body, but the spider endures like a tank and recovers instantly. Now Celia tries to reason with her. The destructive power of a mage and a knight is different. He fires the Raphael Wind spell, which cuts the spider into a spiral, but Crutcher remains standing even after the attack ends. Chase immediately casts Wind Breaker magic to save her brother. However, Abad is hit by the spider's claw. However, the magic reduces the damage somewhat. Both siblings understand that this monster's regeneration is extremely fast. Despair begins to take hold of their hearts. Queen Tartula moves forward to finish them off. Just then, Leo speaks up, saying, "The creature is Sultana's daughter. It was a deadly monster in Abo's army that burned down the elf forest." Leo remembers that Professor Alby's left eye contains the Fairy King's mana. Tarantula Kurd ruled the wild forest. She not only devours the forest for the elves, but also ate the Fairy King's most trusted companion. Leo initially thought Luna had killed Tarantula, but the truth turned out to be different. Tarantula survived because she devoured the Fairy King's assistant, who possessed infinite life energy, was the source of the Ring of Life. Now he is adamant that he will defeat the monster as part of the exam. Celia is equally adamant on a solo fight. Leo understands that this is useless. The monster will regenerate infinitely, and he believes he will be the first to die. Finally, Celia asks his opinion. Leo says this fight requires teamwork, but both Abad and Celia are caught up in ego. Leo sternly gives a reality check. If they don't fight together, everyone will fail. His words finally have an impact. Abad agrees that the monster can be defeated with a combined attack, can be killed in a single strike, but time is needed. The problem is, who will stall the monster? Leo steps forward and says he can buy time. Celia thinks he's crazy. He can't even use aura. Leo says he can hold out for 5 minutes. Abad fears the attack might fail even then, but Leo is confident. He picks up a weapon from the ground and says the affinity of the fire and wind elements will be enough. Finally, Sword Princess and Great Magician become a team. Leo gives Spider a uniform. He accepts the challenge, a reminder of his past life. As the fight begins, he cuts off the monster's limb with one swift swing. Celia and Abad are shocked. Leo repeatedly attacks the creature's face. Tardaros, the same monster. In a flashback, an elven child is seen running away. A spider traps him in a web. The child calls out for his mother. Just then, a being of light appears. Luna, the goddess of light, stops Crutcher. She unleashes a light attack on Fury. Thunder strikes. At the same time, In the past life, Leo helps free the child from the web. In the present, Leo stands holding an axe, ready to buy time. He asks his disciples to create elemental weapons. Dodging at speed, he constantly changes weapons. Dagger, scimitar, battle axe. Chase is stunned. His physical capabilities are insane. Even a bot agrees. Leo is indeed strong, but he is not invincible. A cut from a spider grazes his face. Leo thinks if he can't stop even a stupid spider here, his friends in the afterlife will never forgive him. He increases his intensity and bites the spider. He drops it, then calls for another weapon. Unfortunately, Jaws has no weapons left, which stuns him. But thankfully, Celia has already prepared her ultimate strike. She unleashes a roaring spiral of fire that completely burns Crutcher to death, defeating him instantly. The ring of life drops clean from his body, and the monster is finally subjugated. Celia falls to the ground, relieved that everything is over. Still, she remembers Leo's death. She can't help but marvel at the Inhuman's performance, which held Tardaros at bay for a full 5 minutes. Just as Celia is about to praise her, Chels runs even faster. She's become his #1 fan and believes what he just accomplished is on par with the heroes of legend. Leo doesn't pay much attention, but this girl is completely obsessed with him and wants to become a battle mage specialist. She begs him to train her. Interestingly, Celia herself wants Chels to receive her exclusive training, so that he can get a taste of true suffering. Anyway, our boy goes ahead and picks up the Ring of Life, which manifests Prince as a fairy. He awakens Prince's memories by calling his name. Upon hearing this, he goes back into the ring and accepts Silly as the Fairy King. This was all made possible by Professor Albie stumbling upon the Eye of Mana. The countdown to the testing ground has begun. Clearing the stage rewards them with the Fairy King's pledge. Leo, before transferring, he recognizes someone connected to his past life. Fast forward to Kane Bedden, the Academy's principal, reviewing the Western Territory's exam reports. His assistant asks how many students Albie passed despite his strict requirements. Headmaster Coley is surprised to see the number of students clearing the exam. Although the number is still not very large, he is not disappointed, as he expected only 10 students to pass. This is a major achievement in itself. Celia and Abbott appears to be a top candidate in his eyes. The headmaster learns that a student has been recommended as the year representative. The most surprising thing is that this recommendation has come from Albie himself. Everyone assumes it must be a candidate from Zeringer or Lillian House. But in reality, it turns out to be a name no one has heard before. A name that surpasses both Celia and Abbott in performance. The scene shifts to Professor Albie, who is closely assessing the boy's abilities. Leplov is recommended by the Night Division representative. The headmaster is surprised by the professor's high praise. He specifically says that this candidate possesses the talent of a hero. After the exams are over, our boy is alone enjoying a hot bed. Finding solace in its warmth, the reward for clearing the exam is the Fairy King's pledge. Normally, heroes don't receive any special rewards for clearing the living world. But it's strange that he was granted this as an exception. Leo doesn't understand. He wonders why, and then he sees his mother standing before him. She asks him if he knows why he was expelled from the Zeringer house. While trying to save an ally, he lost control and unleashed the Zeringer flames. But she has no regrets about her decision. Not then, not now. Looking after her only son, she wants his incredible talent to be channeled in the right direction. She also heartily congratulates him on his acceptance into the academy. Upon entering Lumria City, students are stopped from leaving the gates. He is first asked to collect his belongings. Lumria is the centerpiece of the world, and Lumina Academy is its most valuable institution. Upon Leo's arrival, his uncle greets him and congratulates him on his passing. Leo is puzzled as to what he is doing there and learns that the Zeringer house has been embroiled in an inheritance debate that has been ongoing for the past month. His uncle asks him if he knows the reason for this conflict. Leo guesses that it might be related to the inheritance of the phoenix breath. His uncle confirms this, even though his older sister, although not part of the Ziringer clan, Leo is still their son. Furthermore, the elders are deeply impressed by his success in clearing the Western exam, which is notoriously difficult. Leo is given a special subspace key, which he immediately activates. This opens a special book. His uncle instructs him to spill his blood on the book's pages. Leo cuts his thumb and drips the blood onto the pages. Sharing the blood grants him access to information in the book that no one else can know. Mastering Ziringer techniques is not easy, but his uncle has full faith in Leo's talent. He believes he will quickly learn it. With this, he officially welcomes him to the Ziring house. After the meeting, Celia asks him to meet at an unknown location. Suddenly, a girl bumps into them, and both of them fall. The girl, wearing glasses, quickly gathers her books and, apologizing, leaves. Leo sees her card, which reads, Chloe Price, a freshman at Lumina Academy. Opening the door, he sees an angry Celia standing there, who remembers. She assures him that they have a lot of shopping to do, and he's already late. He apologizes and explains that he ran into his uncle on the way. Celia beams with joy and demands to know what happened. In response, Leo summons the flames of the Geringer family and asks if he's on the right path. Celia is stunned by this. Leo mastered the secret technique in less than a month. His achievement leaves her in shock and makes her wonder if he's even human. Later, Sword, the princess, and the forgotten hero see a ship docking. Professor Alandon Du introduces himself as the instructor of the night class and tells the students to board the ship immediately as they are about to leave for Lumen. The journey begins and the students have a relaxing time. Leo and Celia seem like a couple, which a confident boy comments on and teases Celia. He's an alchemist from the Mora Kingdom and a merchant who has everything to sell. He tries to sell school supplies. Leo introduces himself using his student ID and reveals he's from the Dade Kingdom. Thomas is shocked to hear this, as he was the one who went to the same kingdom to take the Western exam. Leo finds the atmosphere a bit too peaceful. Celia believes that's the kind of treatment freshmen receive after clearing their exams. Suddenly, the ship begins to shake, and a massive tentacle rises from the sea, nearly crushing Thomas. The students plead with the instructor for help, but he humors them while sipping wine. He reminds them that the students at Lumen Academy, they are expected to perform in danger. A terrifyingly powerful kraken is in front of them. Despite the tension, the forgotten hero remains calm and cuts the tentacle with his blade. Celia also manages to control herself. Sword Princess's fiery attack causes the kraken to spray water, drenching Celia. The monster grabs Thomas, who screams incessantly. Seeing this, Leo and Celia run at full speed to cut him down. The alchemist, along with his greed, is shocked. He had hoped that Sword Princess would do well, but he didn't expect another student to be as fierce. Thomas is nearly crushed by a frozen tentacle and yells at the person who could have just killed him. Just then, Chloe appears. The same girl in glasses who commands ice magic and single-handedly holds back the monster. She scolds the alchemist for being an unnecessary burden in the fight instead of staying behind. Thomas assumes that people like him, who are weaker than him and try to help, don't care at all. Another tentacle. The scene is crushed, and with that, the dynamic duo of Abed and Chelsea enters the scene. Their rivalry between the two clans isn't over yet. Despite being on the battlefield, Chelsea's eyes are fixed on our boy, even if they're enemies. Several monsters from the lake are pouring into the academy, and the instructor thinks it's the perfect welcoming party for the freshmen. He enjoys it, commenting on the top performers: Chan, Celia, Abed, Chloe, Walden, and finally, Duran Mora. The captains of each region are performing brilliantly against the threat, but beyond all of them, there's one student who overshadows even their performance. An unknown freshman who doesn't command any region. His swordsmanship is the definition of perfection, and he reacts as if he can anticipate every attack. The instructor is delighted to see this boy's full potential in his classes. The inept alchemist quickly exhausts his potions, and they finally reach their destination. As the students disembark, the instructor hopes the students have grown accustomed to the monster treatment, as they'll have to endure it repeatedly. Now it's time to explore the glorious entrance hall. Lumen Academy's training grounds are truly extraordinary. Many spectators are eager to see the freshmen put on a spectacular show. The entrance ceremony is about to begin. The night division is grouped by their instructor and the captains are asked to come forward. The academy's headmaster oversees the announcement and announces this year's heroes. The expectations of the candidates are high. Cal emphasizes to the students that if they truly want to become strong heroes, they must risk their lives and always be prepared to exceed their limits. Punching the ground hard, the headmaster declares that if they can't even do the bare minimum he commands, they don't deserve this prestigious institution, and then, in an instant, he transforms into a kindly grandpa, as if he hadn't just intimidated them. Kalian gestures and asks why all of a sudden. Why has he become so quiet? His shining reputation and image as a brilliant swordmaster are fading by the day. Next is the freshman representative speech, a name the first years eagerly await. It's not Celia, Abad, Chloe, or anyone else. Only Leo Plaw's name is called, which comes as a shock even to him. He immediately looks at the professor and realizes the recommendation must have been his. Leo steps up to the podium and addresses the professors and seniors. During this time, many students are muttering among themselves. They start murmuring about this unknown student. They have no idea who he is or what he's done. The speech reaches a tiring end, and Leo Plow is asked about his goals as year representative. He realizes their goal is to deliberately provoke the finishers behind him. Leo responds politely and professionally, which draws the attention of the other instructors. Everyone thinks the ceremony is going to be very reserved. But then our guy goes completely crazy and he openly declares that he is ready to accept a challenge from anyone willing to take on his position. This hostile and bold declaration provokes the top rankers. But Leo doesn't care who he has to face. As soon as the announcement is settled, the students head to their dormitories. Exploratory classes will begin tomorrow for a week. This is a special grace period for students, during which they can take any class they want and later choose 3 subjects in which they will major. Students they are generally told to rest well so they don't have to face late classes on the first day. Leo's room is right next to Thomas, who is very excited about his first class tomorrow. They say goodnight to each other, and Leo collapses on his bed. His mind is preoccupied with what he hopes to achieve at the academy. By securing his place in the best institution, he fervently hopes to regain his long-lost hero record. The next day, in the cafeteria, Thomas wants to share a seat with our boy and Leo. He approves the request of someone who doesn't care much. Leo receives an unwelcome visitor, a man he doesn't even recognize. It's Duran from the Central region, and he's here to confirm whether the challenge given in the announcement actually holds any weight. Leo realizes his speech was completely provocative. After all, he had openly and aggressively invited a stranger to challenge him. Duran considers himself a big hotshot in the Central region, but Leo doesn't seem to mind at all and calmly sips his fruit juice. Infuriated by being taken for granted, Duran angrily unleashes a thunderous kick that sends the table flying. But Leo's inhuman speed helps him rearrange the ingredients and recreate his perfect cheeseburger. This guy is a living example of class. He turned the entire occasion into a meal. Leo provokes him, saying that he couldn't just watch free food go to waste. Duran, on the other hand, is becoming more and more determined to kill this guy with every word. He thinks the freshman representative, he's far weaker than he is, and his ego can't handle it. Intervening in the fight, their instructor casually places his hands on the shoulders of both students. He politely mentions their ranks, one a year representative, the other a region captain. The instructor hopes they'll be prepared to endure the punishment they'll receive for engaging in a fight on their first day. Both their faces clearly show that they're crying out for help. Now let's jump straight to the night department's first exploratory class. For some reason, Celia is worried that Leo is still missing. Finally, he appears, completely exhausted. Seeing his condition, Celia immediately notices him as she thinks he has just gotten out of a fight. Leo decides not to say anything for now. Class is about to begin. He introduces himself as the instructor of the first-year night classes. Tomas notices that Duran and Leo already have a strained relationship. While teacher explains about the three main powers that emanate from mana. The first is magic energy, soul energy, and finally aura. Of these three, aura is considered the most difficult. Celia explains that this is because the conversion process for aura requires losing mana fluidity. Her answer is correct, as magic and soul energy use mana in its natural state. However, aura absorbs mana and converts it to the body's requirements. The instructor gives a demonstration of aura and asks if anyone knows how to use aura process from the body. Celia considers this, but she can't give a concrete answer. Then the freshman representative breaks her silence and explains that mana must be burned to harness aura's power. The instructor declares he's come to the correct conclusion and then asks what the most crucial aspect of the mana burning process is. Leo immediately replies, stamina. Impressed by aura's understanding, Leo asks if she's ever studied this concept before. It turns out Leo has never formally studied aura. This once again proves his incredible feat. Without even studying it, she understood its true essence. Deciding to end the theoretical explanation, says it's time for a little practical exercise. Using his aura, he creates a wave-like platform called the aura step. This technique is based on concentrating aura power in the feet. Ed descends and enthusiastically explains that the applications of aura are practically endless. Some of the other students experiment and start sparring with each other while Celia teases our boy. She says she's willing to teach Leo the aura steps if he calls her sister. Leo doesn't feel the need for her help, content with simply knowing the principles of aura. Seeing Duran standing off to the side, the instructor sees the perfect opportunity to address the cafeteria commotion. Some students, like Chelsea, don't know what happened, and Thomas piques their curiosity with his commentary. The instructor calls both Leo and Duran to the front. He first asks Duran what made him so angry. Duran, after hearing a dismissive answer, the instructor makes a perfect suggestion. He wants the Central Region captain and freshman representative to face off in a running competition to determine which student is fit to lead the class. Clarifies that both students have free rein to use their auras without restriction, which seems like a perfect advantage for Duran. The day of the competition has arrived. Thomas, an expert businessman, is busy hosting the betting system. The first contestant is House. Duran, the genius of Moira and master of the lightning aura, stands opposite him, a dark horse with no special background. A man who surpassed even the captains of the regions to become the freshman representative, Leo Pla. The students have high expectations for the freshman representative. Ultimately, they are deeply underwhelmed by the fact that he can't even use a simple move like the orb. Everyone believes his position is completely unwarranted and that the captain of the Central Region is the most suitable representative. Sensing the right moment, rules out whoever finishes. The first person to touch the line wins, and the loser must accept the result without excuse. The race is about to begin. Even Celia thinks this competition is a bit of a stretch for Leo to win. Duran specializes in speed, and on top of that, his blazing fast lightning aura. Still, Celia is hoping Leo will subvert everyone's expectations and achieve the impossible. The race begins, and Duran immediately accelerates and takes the lead. As soon as the professor yells, "Go!" both racers blast off. Duran Mora himself. Leo cloaks himself in lightning aura, confident that his speed will leave Leo in the dust. With impeccable running form, our boy remains completely unfazed by the weak trash talk near the starting line. As expected by the crowd, the cool representative from the Central Region finishes the track quickly. The freshman representative, on the other hand, seems to be falling behind. Leo infuses a little aura into his legs to increase his speed. The audience immediately starts calling him the one who scammed the representative. Has landed the role of. Amidst the protests of the entire crowd, a single flower tears Leo apart. Chelsea Luan's passionate shout of support stands out. Focused on crushing the opposition, Duran continuously proves his family's signature trait. He is truly lightning fast. Crossing the halfway point at such inhuman speed, Carr begins to worry about his friend. It seems that if Leo doesn't speed up, he will lose. Then he carefully observes the track. To everyone's surprise, he tries to accelerate. Instead, he decelerates. Losing momentum, Leo leaves the track and starts running towards the walls. It's true that Celia Geringer trusts him, but there's no logical explanation for his actions. He looks like a complete idiot. While everyone is confused and lost, Leo focuses on increasing the aura density in his legs. With a series of inhuman jumps, he completely leaves the track onto the grass and then leaps into the stands. He turns around to see that Darren has increased his lead with his consistent speed. Leo's aura density reaches its peak. The fiery force of his legs causes the stand he's standing on to crack. With a powerful leap, he launches back onto the track with immense momentum. The jump is so staggeringly impactful that it leaves a small explosion behind, momentarily distracting Duran. From that explosion, Leo emerges like a red meteor, blazing across the track. This cheeky devil even taunts Duran as he flies, calling the agent brat a slowpoke. The speeding meteor reaches the finish line in the blink of an eye. His graceful landing is a sight to behold. Duran, standing a few meters away, is left completely dumbfounded. His lightning cloak is banished. It's a clear and utter L. Leo tilts his head back and smiles with confidence. He won. Even though the damage to the stands was significant, it was still worth it. The crowd that had been talking smack a moment before was now completely bewildered. They understood that what they had just witnessed was no joke. To their knowledge, Duran, a first year, he's the fastest among the students. To think anyone could beat him? Absolutely insane. And that too from a boy who hasn't even learned aura properly. One of the few people in the crowd who understood what Leo actually did was Celia. She knew he didn't use any step. What he demonstrated wasn't a simple move, but a full-blown phoenix step. Carr and Chelsea erupted in joy as Leo won, showering their friend with praise. The professor silently contemplated the scene he had just witnessed. Duran used his specialty, lightning aura, and increased his speed. This was expected, but despite this, the speed he displayed was still mind-blowing. Leplov, on the other hand, was quite slow in the traditional sense, but he proved to be much better at handling aura. He gathered his fire aura in his feet, focused it, and blasted off. In the process, he created a single formable aura step. It was a flawless application of a simple concept. Being the sportsman that he is, Leo went up to Duran and extended his hand, saying, "It's a good match." He even admits that if it had been a long-distance race, the result might have been different, but the brat, consumed by the bitterness of defeat, refuses to shake his hand and shoves him aside. The professor is convinced that perhaps a formidable hero might finally emerge from among their current generation of disciples. As soon as Leo reaches his friends, Chelsea immediately showers him with compliments. He finds him so cool that he expresses his desire to train with him. Asks Celia, why is Chelsea so interested in Leo and not him, when the answer is quite obvious. After class, Carr invites everyone to go to the cafe and even offers to buy treats. Leo apologizes because he can't go with them for the laser. Without saying anything else, he quietly leaves his clique. When asked where he's going, he simply says he's going to observe summoning classes. His friends are confused. Why would a night student attend summoning class? As always, the reason is for research purposes. There's still one thing Leo can't understand. Why did the Fairy King give him a pledge as a reward? As far as he knows, rewards in the hero's world are tied to the world owner's power. The reward he received seems to be related to summoning. But Professor Olby is a pure magician, not a summoner. By that logic, Leo should have received a magic-related ability. Besides, to contact a fairy, one has to go to the fairy itself. At the moment, the reward he received doesn't seem to be of any use. When Leo summons, while waiting at his class area, a familiar voice asked him if he was also a summoning student. Standing before him was Chancha, the Eastern captain and top scorer. Unlike the captain he had just raced against, this girl was polite, cheerful, and kind. They exchanged pleasantries, and she insisted he simply call her Ja from now on. She was certain Leo was a Night Division student, so his interest in summoning was unexpected. Leo explained that he was simply interested in spiritualism. If so, they would continue to see each other in many classes. He was asked which spirit he had contracted with, so Ja summoned a beautiful water sprite from thin air. Unfortunately, Leo hadn't contracted one yet. As always, Ja, gracious, said that if he ever needed help with spirit summoning, he could feel free to call on her. Leo wasn't one to turn down help or connections. Then, he accidentally asked the lady her age. Ja smiled and said she was 17. She also knew Leo was younger than her, only 15. Leo's mind. It occurred to me how young Ja looked. She looked even younger than Chels. Ja noticed his slight pause and asked if he was thinking something rude, which Leo immediately denied. Yeah, boys, always deny it. Anyway, she just came to say that she was very impressed with his race against Duran. She was in the crowd at the time. Watching him blaze down the track was etched in her memory. Determined, she told Leo to accept her challenge someday. Amused, Leo smiled and he didn't hold back. After meeting so many bombastic characters, it was nice to finally meet a normal human being, and with that, the Summoning Division's exploratory class officially begins. From the very beginning, the venue is unusual. Instead of a classroom, they're held in open fields. A few notable figures are also present. Judging by their faces and white hair, it's clear these two aren't extras, but actual characters. Leo scanned the area and noticed a relatively small number of students. He had already expected this. After all, summoning isn't a popular activity. It's not a choice. He was just wondering why the class was being held outside, when the answer came flying down from the sky. A huge, scaly-bodied crutcher, with wings that could block out the sun, flew over the students' heads. The crutcher landed on the ground, revealing its terrifying form to everyone. It was a black wyvern. Some students with weak willpower lost their knees at the sight of the beast. Just then, the woman riding the wyvern smiled and said, "It seems her wyvern has taken a liking to the class." She jumped off her mount and launched herself into a trance. Introduced as Yura Marin, the freshman summoning teacher who would be teaching them for the entire school year. Yura was a grade of beauty, with long white hair, a toned body, and devilish features. By this point, the hormonal students were wishing they could be her summons themselves. Leo thought that if Parvino were here, he would be blown away by this woman with a skin so different from Luna and Lucas. He would surely be inspired to create even more cultural art. Wasting no time, Miss Yura got straight to business. She had her little green horse. Addressing the group, she said that being in this prestigious program was proof that they had some talent in this field. The freshmen confidently agreed. Miss Yura was impressed by their confidence, so they immediately decided to go to the practice area. She called Carlo, the associate professor of the first-year summoning class, and asked him to bring the griffins. Miss Yura explained that they would ride in groups of 2. There were enough griffins for everyone to fit comfortably. The only problem was that this was everyone's first experience. It was. How to handle such a finicky creature. As soon as someone complained, Miss Yura's eyes turned hostile. She asked if they wanted to listen to her lesson or not. Mounting her black wyvern, she announced that those who felt they couldn't ride a griffin should quit and go back. Her scaly beast mirrored her intensity. It roared, flapped its wings, and took flight in a show of dominance. Everyone flinched, but one tall student stood calmly, completely unbounded. Associate Professor Carlo interrupts gently, urging the students to hurry up and follow the professor. After overcoming their initial fear and uncertainty, Most students realize that griffins aren't as dangerous as they thought. However, some of the four-legged birds can be quite tricky. It's all luck of the draw. Leo and Jaw partner up for this activity. She politely asks if she can hold the reins, and Leo happily gives her space. Then, two by two, the students land on the ground. They begin to soar above their level. Those who adapt quickly catch the professor's pace and begin flying through the sky, bypassing the ocean. They never imagined they would be allowed to do something as bold as ride a griffin on their first day. Lumen's top-notch programs almost erase their unease about griffins. Some students even start arguing over who should catch the reins. Jaw and Leo are moving forward, tearing through the sky with ease. Jaw is the driver. She was a little worried, but the griffin they found was truly a sweetheart. Still, caution was necessary. Griffins aren't easy to control for first-time riders. When everything seems to be going smoothly, Miss Yura decides to shake things up and lets out a whistle. She blows it with all her might, producing a sound inaudible to humans, only to griffins. As soon as the four-legged birds hear the tune, something primal awakens within them. Their talents are unleashed, and all the birds exhibit erratic behavior. Weak students began to look to the professor for help, not knowing that he was the cause of all this chaos. Miss Yura believed that someone who couldn't even handle an out-of-control griffin had no right to call themselves a Lumina Academy student. Even Seiya, a reasonably experienced young summoner, struggled with her bird as she tried to control it from a distance. Leo held her arm and waist, stabilizing her seat. He told her that griffins are proud. Beasts are. Trying to overpower them with force would only make them more uncontrollable. Leo's touch was extremely gentle. He subtly guided his fingers to keep the frantic mount under control. Holding on from behind, he took control and, changing gears, propelled the griffin even faster than before. They moved at such a swift and steady pace that they eventually left the professor and his associate behind. Miss Yura openly praised his control over the beast. She turned to Carlo and asked, "Is the freshman representative a Knight Major applicant?" Records suggest this must be true. He was showing such good handling that she began to wonder if he had a personal griffin at home. But Carlo's records show that Leo isn't from a noble household that could afford such a thing. This meant he was relying solely on his own talent. Class had just begun. But Miss Yura became optimistic that perhaps she had found a hidden little gem. After that sky debacle, every student was finally on the island of summons. He reached the practice ground for every summoning major. Many kids were vomiting on the beach after the nauseating wild ride. Leo, on the other hand, was calmly wandering the white sand beach, searching for a suitable fruit. When he found a fruit of the right size and ripeness, he gestured to pluck it, and then his eyes fell on a burned feather. Possibilities raced through his mind, but for now, he kept the thought to himself. After picking the ripe fruit, he fed it to the griffin as a gratitude for getting him safely to the island. When everyone was gathered, Miss Yura asked everyone to gather. From now on, they would be taking a practical exam on the first day. At least that much was certain. Some students had come just to observe the exploratory class period, but now they were facing an impromptu exam. Miss Yura explained that the path of a summoner is much longer than that of the other two majors. Everyone should already know this. Mere control of mana is not enough for summoning. Forming a proper contract with a suitable spirit requires the correct spirit affinity. Summons. Adeptly commanding a hero requires the adept taming ability. This path is arduous and complex. This is why the number of summoner heroes is significantly lower than the other two traditional classes. However, compared to other heroes, those who reach that title accomplish far more than most. Great summoners have etched their names deeply into history. That is the essence of becoming a summoner. Every student here aspires to become such a legendary figure in their own way. Eliza Harjan of the Harjan clan, a run-of-the-mill summoner hero family from the north, steps forward and meets Professor. She asks what kind of exam they will face. Miss Yura explains that, as the name suggests, the island of summons is filled with beasts and spirits. because summoners consider a summon a weapon. This exam will test each student's taming ability. Keeping this in mind, the test's content is simple. They must go into the forest, tame a summon, and bring it back to the beach. After taming and forming a contract, they can keep the summon. The students jump with joy. It's not every day that they get the chance to tame their own beast. While everyone else excitedly runs into the woods, eager to find their new pets, Leo calmly walks into the forest. Surprisingly, Eliza follows him from the entrance. Rumors of his victory over Duran have spread quickly. Seeing him in summoner class, she can't help but say hello. The other prominent students in the class also take notice of this interaction. Leo gently brushes Eliza off, nonchalantly saying he's just trying his best. Being dismissed like that, he must be some random commoner. This enrages Elijah. Observing her students from afar, Miss Yura already recognizes the key members of her freshman class. Within minutes, many students had already begun the process of taming their chosen beasts, but none of them caught Leo's attention. Some students noticed the freshman representative going a little deeper into the forest. Some began praying for his downfall, thinking he would fail to tame the summons. Zero will take it and return as a barbaric knight major. Completely oblivious to all this hubbub, Leo follows the trail as deeply as he can.